No matter what I say, no matter what I do, no matter how I may wish for it, no matter how I may fantasize about it, no matter how I may romance it, whatever I may try to do, I can't escape who I am. All I am is nothing but the summation of the observable behaviors in a social situation, performing in the now, being. I am a Dasein, which defined is human reality without any a priori assumptions. You go and draw conclusions and survive by the evidence. But when you look at the evidence, it's already disappeared. You're taking a position on it, an interpretation on it. If you want to communicate it, if you want to be in any way effective, you're doing it according to clock time and observables. Everything is fully observable. All I am is nothing but an externality of behaviors in the now, at the present clock time. The now is the present clock time. It's not subjective time. Subjective time is immaterial. We define ourselves, and when we make that definition, it's all that we are. There's no remainder. There's nothing that we can add to what's already happened. If we have filmed it, have a record, that is already externalized. It's just a whole series of disjointed behaviors, moment to moment, that have to be put together in interpretation, but the fact itself is gone. How could it be anything else? If it's something other than that, then it's nothing but a fantasy. I made it up. I made it up so I could feel better about myself. I made it up so I could live with what I am, what I've demonstrated myself to be when I behaved in the now. I'm a short man, 5'2.5". And the worst thing you can do is say, I could never have this. Make that assumption. I could never have this. If you make that assumption, you won't find out, in point of fact, who you are. Because you have already concluded who you are before you lived or actualized or performed your who in the now and been confirmed or disconfirmed. Assumptions are very dangerous things. All that is relevant is motivation to perform. In other words, the question is, why are you here? Why did you show up? What do you want out of this? Here and now for yourself. There's no expectations. There's no results. You can set goals. You can strategize. But without it being tested, it's just a massive assumption. Because when you go out there, you're involved immediately in the newness of confrontation and encounter in the now, the unknown, the frontier, the wild frontier. I call it the discovery of life. It's very difficult to say or do anything without power. By power, I mean the ability to get the requisite attention, the respect, the presence, the contacts. That means the exact strategy of where to go, who to see, what to say and do, to experiment, to put out your theory and an approach. Get clarity on paper first. Get clarity in your mind first. Under hypnosis, you go on a mental voyage. You rehearse and you see the event occurring because you want to see if you can get that deja vu experience, that allays anxiety. The deja vu experience doesn't help anything, it just allays anxiety. It gives you the misleading and dangerous confidence that you've already done this before when you really haven't, and makes you feel bloated and overconfident in the now when you have not done anything to earn that confidence. And if you say a priori before the event, I could never have this, you never will. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And the other thing is, you don't say, if I could never have this, and then why shouldn't I have it? That's a misnomer. If I could have, I would have. There's this period of life, if I could have, I would have. In objective social situation of confrontation and encounter out there, where everything is an experiment. You don't know how it's going to turn out. It's none of my business how it turns out. It's a matter of indifference how it turns out. You have to be able to empathize and listen to other people's stories. Maybe you can learn something or get some idea from others' experience in a similar situation. But wherever you go, you carry your phenotype. That's your body structure. If you become obsessed with it, you'll never do anything. Don't let your phenotype, your body structure, dictate how you're going to enter the arena, the social arena of encounter and confrontation in the now. Forget what you look like. Don't think about it. Because thinking about all that a priori makes a coward of me. I'm ginning up a lot of performance anxiety. And then, of course, to assuage that terrible, agonizing anxiety, you begin to procrastinate. You make procrastination a way of life. I'm telling you very directly in this talk, the mechanics, the nuts and bolts, and the genesis of this dangerous procrastination. The next question is, can I model my hero's behaviors and dress like him and come up with all the quirks and the tics of my hero and magically glean the results he gets? If you do that, you're not going to do anything. You'll spin on a dime, because you will never give yourself the projected confidence that you're trying to pick up from him, wearing the talisman clothes that he wears, the clothes that your hero wears, movie star, whatever the hell it is, your pretty boys, whatever it is, and try to imitate their behavior. You can't live another man's personality. That's his. I can't live another man's personality. I can't be him, nor do I want to be him. It's impossible. But it will produce the very dangerous quietism in me and passivity. And as a consequence, I'll watch myself spiral downhill socially bit by bit. So far down the cavern, I can't climb up anymore. I can't get out of it anymore. Then I spend my whole life, the myth of Sisyphus, trying to crawl out of the cave. I threw myself into the cave. I'm spending my whole life trying to roll that ball, that stone, up the slopes of the cave, and it keeps rolling back down and throwing me back down. I try to get up a rod, I fall back down, I go again and again. This melts into years. And then, as a consequence of all that, I'm telling you how the nuts and bolts of victimhood occurs. I then become the perfect victim, looking for the perfect, mesmerizing hero figure. You call that a dictator? Using the word dictator in the widest sense possible. We're not talking about, say, a Mussolini or an Adolf Hitler or anything like that. If you use the word dictator, even to apply to men like these, Adolf Hitler, Mussolini, you're going to go wrong. Because when you use the label, I found out, if you put a label on something, your thinking, your critical thinking is now determined. Then you think as you must. I don't want to put a label on anything. I want to look at the situation, I want to look at the facts as a tabula rasa, to the highest extent possible, and see what I can learn. And discover as I go the questions I need to ask, predicated on my changing perspectives, looking at it from this angle. Well, how will it look if I move over and look at it from this angle? Let me go home now and cogitate on what I've seen. Let me process the information I have and the observations I have, and come back another day and ask different questions. It's just like a polygraph. And that's the closest approximation to eliminate as far as possible the efforts to deceive. And the fact of the matter is, you cannot live your life without a mask. Even no mask is a mask. Life is a continuous masking up, a continuous performance in the now, with your body language, with your presence, and with your potential in the now. Potential is meaningless. If anybody says, I want to talk about this man, that's meaningless, doesn't mean anything. All you're giving me is your observations of past experiences, and you're calling that potential. You haven't got any magic telepathic insight to say one has potential, one has done. No, it's just the judgment. You made it a now. As simple as that. That's why you must never let anybody diagnose you, judge you, or in any way diminish your opinion of yourself. They don't have a stake in the game. You're probably never going to see these social performers again in your life. What do I care what they think of me? That's none of my business. I need to go out and make an attempt for what I want. And after that, you just play it by ear. It is what it is. It'll be what it'll be. If I could co-opt the gods to give me a hush, to see it in my favor, if I made a statement like that, I'd be certifiably stupid. Certifiably stupid to make a statement like that, predicated on no information, predicated on asking the wrong questions, the wrong prompts. But one thing I do know, I must take care of what's in my power to take care of, like driving iron, building my body, where everything, 100% of it, is on me. That I can own. If you're talking about owning your behavior, that's what I mean by owning it. Is acting on what you can physically do, and then doing it, and then seeing how you hold up, writing a diary or a journal of what went wrong, time, keeping records, reviewing those records constantly, keeping that journal, keeping track of what you're saying and doing in a now. That's who you are. Very easy to answer. I answer it very easy. That's who you are. Don't ask me how. All those assumptions must be tested out. There must be a plan, a strategy to test it out. You can't draw any conclusions about it. I'm at the end of my rope. I can't draw any more conclusions because I need more information. And that information I need is wholly objective, in the now, predicated on my behavior, the observations of my behavior, the reactions to me and how I respond to those reactions in the now, and how accurate I am of keeping an accurate mental record, mind record, of what I've said and done. That means how I listen to myself and watch myself as I'm behaving in the now, and that's all there is to it. It's no more complicated than that. All the self-help books are all misleading at best. No man can give another man practical advice. External to the man. Because it's the man who has to hear the advice, he has to process the advice in his mind, and then he has to make the choice. Will I follow that advice? To what extent will I follow that advice? Or will I just listen, go in one ear or go out the other? How will I process? That's the real question. How will I process what I'm hearing? And never give anybody any credit for advice unless they physically intervene for you. They don't deserve any credit. These are ideas you could have found anywhere. There's powerful ideas And they're just all over the place. It's just a matter of knowing how to mine them like gold. And the tough part is to mine the gold. There's gold all around. The tough part is to find it and mine it, cultivate it. And that's all on me. And then that's it. That's all there is. And then I die. And I'm just a summation of all of that. And I'm not even that. When I die, I am I die. That's it there, be. That the being is gone. The science is gone from the da. The da is just a dead chunk of protoplasm, rotting and putrefying, no longer able to represent myself or define myself. I am what anybody wants to think of me. I'll be laid to my rest wherever the hell they want to put me. And it's the end. Period. And sooner or later, and sooner more than later, I will be forgotten, and my rotting, putrefied body will only worth a couple of bucks to break down to its chemical formation, and that's who I am. Dust to dust, ashes to ashes. Amen.